see my PPT? Maybe you can comment. Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, okay. Okay, I can see a lot of people coming. I guess we have been uploaded today's materials on the Discord, I guess. Yeah. Let's just wait for a few minutes, and I will share some information about the final demo show. That's what you are caring about. So the first thing is about the final demo show is that most of you, I guess, finish the week 3, week 4, or week 5 assignment, right? So only if you finish those assignments before yesterday, I guess. So I have collected the email address who finished the assignment, and I give it to the Balance Smart Chain team, and they group the members. So we have selected some captains, but still some of them, I guess 5 captains, still not check the email and join our Telegram group. So if you hear this information, please check the email at first and join our Telegram group. The second thing is about the grouping. If you finished the assignment, but you didn't receive the email from your group leader, just don't worry. Don't worry about it, because maybe some of the captains still not organized the group yet, and maybe we will give you guys 1 to 2 weeks to organize the group, and the final demo show will be like 1 month later. So the most of the email will send before next Wednesday, I guess. But if you finish the assignment and you still don't receive the email until next Wednesday, you can just you will get a Google form, and you can fill the Google form. Then we can check what the problem is, and we'll give you a solution. Okay. Okay, can you guys see me now? I guess it's 140 people just joined this class. Okay, Jeff just coming. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Oh yeah. So can you see about the details? Okay, maybe.
Did you walk them through the details about groupings?
Yeah, I tell them about the details of grouping, and the captain should check their email. Is there other things that you want to implement?
Yeah. So just for supplement. So if you didn't receive the email yet, don't worry about it. All of the students will receive the emails and join the specific group, and we will keep checking the status right now, and on next before next Wednesday, we will calculate how many students have find its group. If not, we will let you fill a Google form, and we will solve personal problems on that Google form. So don't worry about it. Everyone will join. I think you can start. It's
Okay. So maybe I will start today. This week's presentation. I'm Leo. I'm Prophet. Maybe most of the guys just see me in last week or the week before last week. Yeah. So once again, I welcome all of you guys for the 6 weeks class of Binance Masterclass. In the last week lecture, we discussed DeFi and some projects like Uniswap and Maker. Furthermore, we saw how to create a ERC20 and BEP20 token, and we use this token to create a staking and a farming contract. If you finish the last week's assignment, I guess you have been understand how the staking and the farming contract worked. And today, I will go further with you to explore the world of DeFi and to introduce some innovations in DeFi's ecosystem. Today's content still be divided in 3 parts. The first part is I will introduce a decentralized bank project named Compound, and I will introduce how Compound works and how we can interact with Compound and what the Compound theory is. The second part is I will introduce a aggregator product named Yearn Finance, which is very famous in DeFi ecosystem. And about the third part, I will talk about a logarithmic stablecoin, and I will introduce what stablecoin is and how the rebase mechanism works on the logarithmic stablecoin. Okay. And let's start with Compound Finance. Compound Finance is a lending protocol on Ethereum and let users earn interest on borrowing assets or lending their assets. So I will introduce about how to supply the assets on the Compound's protocol and how to lend or borrow the assets from the Compound protocol. So after you deposit your asset to the Compound protocol, you will be ultimately gain the interest. And the rate of the interest is just changed based on the supply and the demand. Like if the money the cash supply is more and the demand is decreased, then the rate will get down. But just in the contract, if the money is less and the demand is just become increased, the rate will be higher. Okay. In simple word, all the Compound Finance does it match those who want to borrow money with those who want to supply money to earn interest. When users and application supply an assets to the Compound protocol, they can see their estimate APY on the web page, like how many interest they will get annually. For DAI here, they can get 5% interest annually. And if they borrow it, they should pay 7% for the interest to the contract. And every kind of assets have their unique interest rate. Okay, let's talk about how Compound the mechanism work. There are 3 roles in the Compound contract. The first is about the money lender. The money lender is the people who want to lend money to the Compound contract. And when users supply the assets, the Compound contract will give the money lender back about the C token. Like if you deposit the DAI token to the compound state contract, the compound state contract will give the CDAI token back to you. That's a representative about you stake the DAI token to the smart contract. And the others is the money borrower should stake something to the state contract, and then he could borrow the asset from the wallet. Like if you want to borrow some DAI token, you need to stake Ethereum or some other token to the state contract, and then you can borrow the DAI from the DAI contract. Okay. And the most important thing is that the asset you stake should be more than the asset you want to borrow. Like you stake 150 value assets that you can just borrow $100 value assets back. Okay. And we can see that when users supply the DAI token, they will receive the C token from the compound contract, right? But how do we know the rate between the DAI token and the C DAI token? Like if you deposit one DAI token in original, you will receive 40 C DAI token. But with the rate is changing in the real time, I guess. It's need to calculate by a formula, and it will be changed because of the total cash and the total borrow and total reserved, and it connects to the total supply, like how many DAI token in the DAI stake contract. There is a formula I just paste here. So the rate of DAI token and the C DAI token equals to total cash plus total borrows minus total reserves and divided to total supply. So you can see the formula here, but in fact, the rate is growing steadily because C DAI token is on behalf of the DAI token you stake to the contract and the interest that you will get back. Like during the whole year, the DAI token, the DAI state contract will give you 5% for interest. Then after 1 year later, the 40 C DAI token on behalf of one DAI token plus one DAI token multiplied to 5%. That means 1.05 DAI. So as time goes by, the C DAI, the rate between DAI and C DAI token will change by time, but for the long term, it will be a constant grow up curve. Yeah. Okay, so we talk about how the rate between DAI and C DAI, and I guess we can just see now about, we can just check about the parameters in the formula. The first parameters is the total cash. The total cash of the asset means the total cash put into the smart contract. Like if you put 100 DAI into the DAI stake contract, and all of them just nobody borrowed the DAI token. So the total cash will be 100 DAI token in the contract. But if somebody just borrows 50 DAI token from the DAI stake contract, the total cash would be 100 minus 250. It will be 50 at left. So the second is the total borrowers. Total borrowers means the token of all borrowers that they borrowed of DAI token or some other asset in the stake contract. That includes the asset that they should repay and the interest they should pay. The third is the total reserves. The total reserves on behalf of the interest that they put into the smart contract. Like at first, you put your you put your DAI to the smart contract and other just borrow it, and they give the asset and the interest back. Then the interest will go to the total reserves rather than go to the total cash part. So total reserves will collect the interest from the borrowers. After that, the total reserves pool will be cashed out by if some of the money lenders want to withdraw their token. So the total reserves pool will be firstly climbed out. And here is another signal for on behalf of the rate that will be influence the interest. Like if you use the if you have more utilization of the whole DAI valued, then the interest should be higher. Like if there is 100 DAI token in the pool and 80% of the pool just borrowed, then the rate should be higher. But if only 10% of it was borrowed, then the interest rate will be low. So there is a formula about how to calculate the utilization. The utilization was calculated by the total borrowers and total cash and total borrowers. So it equals to total borrowers divided to total cash plus total borrows. As you can see, the more borrows it be, then the higher utilization it will be. And last week, we discussed about the liquidation of the maker system. The Compound project also has a similar liquidation agreement to maintain the secure of the system. So here, I just put an example of how the Compound protocol to execute the liquidation. At first, the Compound provide the money borrower just give a stake-3 ETH to the Ethereum to the state contract. Those Ethereum worth $600. This is at first, right? And he lent back 445 DAI that worth $445, right? So now we can see that there is one parameter named stake rate, which means the money that you borrowed divided to the money that you stake should less than 0.75. So we can calculate now. At first, the 600 multiply the 0.75 equal to 450, right? And Tom just get 445 DAI. So this amount is less than 450. So the contract thinks the Tom's borrow is safe now. But as the time flow, the Tom just have $6 interest. And the other things is not changed, like the Ethereum price or the DAI price is not changed. Just Tom has another $6 interest. So here I just calculate the stake amount multiplied to the stake rate, right? So it equals to 450. And Tom gets 445 DAI at in original, but he also has $6 interest. So we plus them and equal to 451. This number is higher than the 450, right? So this will trigger the liquidation. After we trigger the liquidation, we will execute it. There is a difference between the compound liquidation and the maker liquidation. The compound liquidation was only partially repay the debts. Like you have 451 debts, right? And the liquidation will only repay the part of his debts. Like he will pay 200 dice to the debts. Then we can just make a simple calculation. After the liquidation, someone just pay 200 die to help Tom to repay his debts, and he gets back to multiply 1.1 in ETH. Like he just pay 200 dice and get back 1.1 ETH. So after liquidation, the Tom status will change to 600 minus 220. This is it is 380, right? And it should multiply to the stake rate. The stake rate here is 0.75. So after this calculation, we can calculate how much asset that can Tom borrow now. The number is 285. So this is the maximum asset that Tom can borrow. And we can see how many debts he has now. The debt is the original debt is 451, and minus to the debt that somebody just helped him to pay it is 200 die. So we use 451 minus 200 equal to 251. So after this calculation, we can find out the 285 is bigger than 251. So we can say this debt is secure to the system now. So it won't trigger the liquidation again. So after this full process, the compound just execute liquidation, which can help the protocol to secure the system. Okay, and then we will talk about the compound governance system. As a relative mutual compound, as a relative mutual project, Compound is managed by a decentralized organization, which we name it DAO, means Decentralized Autonomous Organization. The users in the community can propose the proposal to the organization. Like they can propose some proposal created by themselves, like they want to change some parameters of interest rate or of the staking rate, or some other policies. So after they created the proposal, and it will becoming a pending process. When it active, all of the members who owns the compound and stake it to the DAO community can vote for the proposal. And if the proposal, the voting amount meets the requirement of the success, then the proposal will be going to the query process, and there will be some blocks that will assigned to execute. Like it will be executed 10 blocks later. So when we come to that block, this proposal will be executed, and it will change the parameters of compound contract. So the DAO organization, the DAO is popular in the most of blockchain project. And if you use a decentralized organization to organize the protocol, it will make people to believe it, can make people believe it more, because the people organize it and the people won't do some bad things to themselves, right? Okay, and let me make a summary of the compound. So The Compound is a real-time loan and real-time repayments protocol, and no need for one-to-one lending, because in the most traditional way, we need to conduct a one-on-one lending if we don't use a third-party institution or entities. But on the blockchain, we can achieve a real-time loan and repayments by the Compound protocol, right? The second is about the C token that they produced. They produce a C token on behalf of the asset and the interest on the protocol. So as long as you hold on C token, you can receive the asset interest and the asset itself, which equivalent to a successful loan. And I guess this is a kind of combination of different protocol. Like C token means the combination between the DAI protocol and the Compound protocol. And you can also use the C DAI to do some other investment. The second is about utilization rate. The utilization rate is the main factor that can reflect the Compound lending rate. Like if you want to see the interest will go higher or lower, you can just use utilization rate to judge it. Yeah. The fourth thing is the interest rate and the interest are updated every block. Like it will update if you see your money on the blockchain, you can see the interest just grow up time by time. It will update every block and calculate it calculated to your account. So you can withdraw at any time only if you want, and you will get the interest. The last thing is the liquidation mechanism can avoid non-repayment of the borrower money. So you don't worry about the maintenance of the system or the security of the system. With the liquidation mechanism, the system can work out well and safely. Yeah. Okay, and let's go to the second part, the Yearn Finance protocol. Okay, the main element of the Yearn Finance is the Yearn protocol, which is aggregator, and it helps people to make the smartest choice in the market. What does mean smart choice? I will discuss with you in detail in the following slides. Okay, the protocol is focused on maximizing the DeFi capabilities by automatically switching your investment from one contract to other contract. But how it happens, okay, let's see. I will talk about its history at first, in fact. In early 2020, the order of the Yearn protocol, Andrew Cohn, start automating his strategy for choosing the highest paying lending protocol on his stablecoin. AC just make his own investment, right? And before the first iteration of the protocol, AC has to wake up every day and manually check which protocol pays the best APY and which should be does his investment should be changed or not. He should check it manually, right? So he wants a robot or protocol that can help him to do those daily works. And after months of work, he uploaded the first version of Yearn protocol, and it quickly became the biggest interest rate aggregator among the blockchain, among the Ethereum or the other blockchain ecosystem. And the price of YFI, which is the system token, just has risen from $3 to 35,500. That's a big change, right? Everyone owns YFI just a lot. And in fact, the value of the YFI system is it can make automatically yield farm strategies. So users can just put their money into the system, and the system will help you to do the choice. And I just talked about the YFI price last slide. So with the YFI assets just grow up very rapidly, the YFI foundation has a lot of cash, allowing them to expand their ecology. YFI wants to be a project with a complete DeFi self-circulation ecosystem. So they have required many different type of projects that they look good, like Sushi Swamp and the Cream Finance. They try to buy the cover project, but as you know, the latest news is they just canceled this cooperation. But I guess they still want to expand their ecology. So maybe in the future, they will try to cooperate with other projects. Okay, and let's look at how Yearn protocol work. As you can see, there are several different lending protocol here. The first is Aave. The second is Compound that we just talked earlier. And the third is DYDX. This is another lending protocol. Those protocol can stake monies to earn interest. But every protocol have different interest even on the same values, same assets like DAI. So I take a DAI for example. Like here, we can just go to the Aave website and see what is APY of DAI asset now. In my screenshot, the APY is 7% and 7.42% annually. And on the Compound, the rate is 5.69% annually. As you can see, there is a kind of a lot difference, right? And even in DYDX, the rate is 5.21%, is even less than the Compound. So every project has an interest rate. How to choose the best rate every time? Because the rate will change time by time, and we can't just look at every project of them and make the decision. Right? It will take a lot of time and make a lot of gas. You need a lot of gas fee to change the position. So the Yearn Finance just do this job. The Yearn Finance can let users to deposit their money into the vault. So every different asset have a different vault. You can deposit DAI to the DAI vault. You can deposit WETH to the where Ethereum vault or some other token, right? So after the vault receives the specific type of asset, it will indicate the highest current rate or among the market. Like it will search the project in the whitelist. Like if the DYDX, Compound, and Aave in their whitelist, it will make a comparison among all of these three projects and find out which one has the best rate, and it will change the position to the best one. So it has a smart or artificial intelligence strategy to help people decide the investment. It will help people to choose the best rate. So in order to make sure the security of the system, the whitelist should be selected by the community, and everyone can make the proposal to the community that about the project they want to add into the whitelist. and they can just add some different sports type in the vote pool. Like if you want some other small token, like the other like OMG or some other small capacity token into the vote, you can make the proposal to the community, and there will be the same thing about the voting and execute, or just they cancel it. So after this process, they can make sure the whole decision was made in the process is correct, and they can make sure of the secure of the whole system. That's the most important things about the aggregator, because once people deposit their money into your system, they want their money are safe. That's the first thing they want. So the first thing is they should make sure that every project they invest is audited and can make them maximize money for them. And the other things is about the YFI cooperates with the curve to provide it a yCRV token. So YFI provide Y token to on behalf of the same thing like interest and original assets. And the other thing different with the compound is the yCRV. The yCRV, in fact, is a synthetic asset. Like if you only deposit DAI to the Yearn Finance, you will only get Y DAI token back, right? But the yCRV on behalf of a combination of a set of tokens. But the set of tokens should be stablecoin, like DAI, USDC, USDT, and TUSD. If you deposit DAI, those tokens into the yCRV contract, the yCRV contract will give you back the yCRV token. Okay, what does that mean? In fact, it has some influence. Like if you want to get the highest rate among all of the stablecoin, like if there is 10% or 20% annually payment for USDT, but there is only 5% APY for the USDC, then the best thing that you should do is to change the USDC to USDT and then lend it to the protocol. But the yCRV can help you to do those things because the change among all of the stablecoin is kind of fixed. Although it's not, you can't change it certainly one to one, but it's in a specific period, it will stay in a very stable rate, change from one to the another. So this yCRV also have a lot of support, and a lot of people use it to maximize the income that they invested to the Yearn protocol. So I think this is a very innovative way that Yearn Finance try to maximize the stablecoin interest rate. After that, they just they produce another kind of synthetic coin with other projects, and some of them make a huge success, and some of them just cancel later, I guess. Yeah. So that's an experiment, I guess, and a lot of people just want to maximize their income. So I guess the experiment is success now. So let me summarize about the Yearn Finance advantage and feature. So the first thing is Yearn Finance is a lending aggregator, and it provides the automatic server for the users who deposit their money into the vault, right? The second thing is the YFI is also governed by the community. The users who have YFI token and stake into the DAO contract can vote for the proposal and make the most wise choice. So it can enhance the security of the whole YFI system. The third is the innovation that the YFI cooperate with the curve make about the yCRV products of the stablecoin. That's a kind of innovative way to maximize the rate of the stablecoin and help stablecoin it can exchange from one to the another. So I guess a lot of guys maybe can learn some strategies or learn some innovations from the Yearn Finance product. Okay, and about the last thing that I want to talk about is about agoramatic stablecoin. Sorry, I can't pronounce it well. Okay, I will call it a local stablecoin. A local stablecoin is a kind of stablecoin. It has a target price, but it won't always stay in the target price. The local stablecoin try to replace the stablecoin, but most of the projects just fail during the last 6 months, I guess. There are still many projects just come out and try to solve those problems. But today I will introduce you what stablecoin is and what's how many local stablecoin projects they are. So at first, I'm going to introduce to you guys how many classification of stablecoin on the market now. The first is, I will call it the clone stablecoin, because the USDC and the USDT is created by centralized entities. The USDT is created by the Tether, right? And USDC is created by the Coinbase and Circle. So only you deposit $1 into the bank account in the real world, and then the Tether will give you $1 USDT as a proof or as a token that you can use on the blockchain, which means that only if you deposit something in the real world, then you can only deposit dollars in the real world that you can get USDT on the blockchain, and the same way as the USDC. The second is the left part. The DAI project, I just introduced about the Maker project to you guys about the DAI, right? The DAI is a synthetic asset with Maker project. The DAI should be created after you stake some asset that's permitted by the Maker community, like Ethereum or BAT or some other token that's accepted by the Maker community. So you can mine DAI, and the DAI have a back end. So DAI can maintain its target price, which is equal to $1. But then I'm going to talk about what is a local stablecoin is. We can see the third part. The third part is about the Ampl force and another project forked Ampl force named Yearn. So with this project, they don't have any backend. Like we talk about the first part, the USDC and USDT has their backend of the real world bank account, right? So you can believe in them because of they have money that they can pay you if you want to withdraw your USDC or USDT. And the DAI token also have a backend, like the Ethereum asset or other type of asset. But the Ampl force and the Yearn don't have any backend asset. They just control their price only by the algorithm. So about that, how they achieve to just fluctuate it from up and down around the target price, how to achieve that goal. It's based on a kind of mechanism named rebase. I will introduce you guys about what rebase is and how does it work. And we will make a very simple version of Ampl force in our in this class. Okay, but maybe you will notice there are still some other projects here, like Dollar Protocol and Basis on Frax. Those are some furthermore experiments about the Algo stablecoin. They try to make some unique changes about the mechanism and try to avoid the death spiral. So I will introduce about the first theory to rebase mechanism and about its theory and about its history. Okay. About the history of rebase mechanism, there is someone named Fernando published a paper in 2014. The paper names Hayek Money, the cryptocurrency price stability solution. So in this paper, Fernando just proposed a concept of Hayek money, and Hayek money means the money supply were varies by time, and the key elements of the change is based on the requirement. Like if all of the society just need $100 now, then it should be only 100 supplement among all of the USD market. But if the money requirement is 10,000 among the whole society, then we should expand the market supplement. Like we should expand it to 10,000. The second article is published by Robert Sam. Robert Sam is a hedge fund manager, and he just proposed another series about how to avoid the death spiral in the rebase mechanism. So he thinks the separation of dividend rights and stable coins can help to avoid the death spiral. And with these articles, there are so many Algo stablecoin projects just take a reference of this article and make their own project or their own innovations of the Algo stablecoin. Some of them make success and some of them just failed. Yeah. So now I'm going to introduce another keywords, I say, or another items in the calculation of the Algo stablecoin. Like if you want to make a calculation of the Algo stablecoin delta, like how many money you want to supply, or how much money that you need to decrease. So the first thing is about the price. Like if we have some dollars among all the markets now, and the dollar's price is variable from time to time, the dollar should be equal to $1, right? And if the dollar's price just raise up to $2 per token, and the money should the amount of the currency should just raise up, right? If the origin money is 100, then it should increase the amount to 200 to make the price stable. This was related to a concept named TWAP price. TWAP price is time-weighted average price, which can easily make a calculation of the price during a specific period of time. So here I just make an example about how to calculate TWAP price. To calculate a TWAP price, we need to make a calculation of the price cumulative and the calculation of the timestamp. Like I make an example here. There is a four block information, and I want to calculate the TWAP price among the 4 block time period. The first thing is I need to calculate the price cumulative difference among the four block. But the first block is the start block, right? So we don't calculate the price of it. We can start it at the second block. So we use the 108 plus 98 and plus 92, we can equal to 298. So that's the cumulative difference from the end to beginning. And then we need to calculate the timestamp difference. The end block number is 4 and the start block number is 1. So we can use 4 minus 1 to get the difference of the timestamp. And if we want to calculate the TWAP price of this among the 4 block, we can use the price cumulative difference to divide it to the timestamp difference. We can get the average price is 99.33. That's the TWAP price of those 4 block time period. So if our target, okay, you can see in this picture, we have a target price now. The Ampl force is a stable coin, right? So it's not just equivalent to the US dollars. It's equivalent to the 2019 US dollars multiplied the CPI. Like the target price of the Ampl force just changed by time because the US dollars is useless time by time, right? It has a CPI. So you need to multiply the CPI to get the current worth of the US dollars in 2019. So with this calculation, we can say the Ampl force target price is 1.026 now. And what will happen if the price of the Ampl force change? Like if we just after calculation, we find out the last TWAP price is more than target price multiplied 1.05. This is a parameter. Like if the last TWAP price more than this calculation, after this calculation, we can find out it's like 1.051, I guess, yeah. If the TWAP price is more than this, it will increase the supplement of the Ampl force. And on the conflict, if the TWAP price is less than the target price multiplied to 0.695, then we will decrease the supplement. How to increase and decrease the supplement of Ampl force? How to do that? That will use a rebase mechanism on the solidity in the solidity contract in the smart contract. And how to achieve that, I will talk about it later. Yeah. Okay. So the basic things that you need to know is if the money goes up, the supplement of Ampl force will increase. If the price goes down and lower than the target price multiplied to 0.95, the supplement of the Ampl force will decrease. But how it happened? Okay, I will talk about it here. Like here, we will talk about how to execute the rebase and how to code the simplify of the rebase token. Like in the ERC token that I have mentioned last week, we have some function to transfer or to initialize the token, right? But here we have another function named the rebase. With this rebased function, we can achieve very easily. We can achieve easily to change the balance of all of the users. Like if you like in the original, we have 100 supplement of Ampl, and you are Tom, right? You are Tom. Tom get 1 at first. And you want to, the price of the Ampl is just lower than the target price, like it's 0.8. So you want to decrease the, supplement. And after the rebase, you will trigger the rebase just at a specific time period, like every day or every 12 hours. So after you trigger the rebase, those kind of total supplement and the balance of Tom will change. The calculation of how much supply will change can define by yourself. But here I just for easy to understand, I will say there are 5. It should decrease 5 amount of Ampl. So we use 100 minus 5 to get 95, right? So here is so the total supply of Ampl is 95 now. And the Tom on the Tom account, the amount of his balance will also change too. It will also change to 0.95. Yeah, because it's related to the total supply. And if you change it all of this account one by one, it will cause a lot of gas fee, and everyone can't accept that. So the rebase token, the Ampl, just create an innovative way to control the balance in every user's account. They created a variable named total GONS and total supply. Total supply, in fact, is as same as in the ERC20 or BEP20 contract. And it has another variable named GONS per fragment. These variables will control the percentage of the people have in among all of the total, like if you change from 100 to 95, what you change is this parameter, GONS per fragment. This is what you change, not, and the total supply you will change too. But if you want to check someone's balance, you will use this parameter. So maybe after I just make a demo show for you guys to how to create the rebase token contract, that maybe you can easily understand about it. Okay. Yeah, this is a simple way that how we achieve to increase the total supply and how we just decrease the total supply. There is something like constant variables. Its name is total GONS. The total GONS is constant, and we won't change that. The only thing that we will change is the total supply and the GONS per fragment. We with those two variables changed, we can change the balance of every users. Okay, so now I guess I can make a example for you guys to to know how to create a contract. Okay, let me change about this. Can you guys see my window? Maybe I can check. Can you guys see my window? Yes. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to a project that I just created earlier in today. So in this contract, I will told you guys how to make a rebase token by yourself. There are something new in this contract. The first sentence is about the solidity compiler. I won't talk about it repeatedly, so maybe we just skip it. But the second is about the import keyword. Yeah, this is a new knowledge, right? The import keyword can import some library from other solidity file. Like I import a safe math solidity file in the same file system, I guess. Yeah. So here I just declare a library named same math at first, and we defined some function to calculate about the calculation. So here, this is built by the OpenZeppelin. OpenZeppelin is an open source project for you guys to can easily used by the calculation or some blockchain secure service. So this safe math is provided a safe way to make a calculation of the uint variable. And there is another file named safe math int. So from the name that you can see, this library provides the safe way to make a calculation of the int variable. Okay. So after those two sentences, we import library to this contract, to this solidity file, and then we can create a contract. Created a contract here. The contract name is rebase token. So the token controlled by the rebase mechanism. And as the same, we can use the ERC20 way to create some key elements like name, symbol, or owner. Yeah, that's we just mentioned in our early weeks. And here we can use this way to define the use way for the uint type and int type. So after that, the uint variable can use the function that defined in the safe math, and the int variable can use the safe math int. Can use the function that defines in the safe math int solidity file. Okay, and after that, we are going to talk about event. The difference with the BEP20 solidity file or ERC20 solidity file is they only have the transfer or the approval event, right? But here we have another log rebase. The log rebase will record the rebase amount, the rebase epoch, and the rebase of the change of the total supply. It will record the total supply, so you can see how many what's the amount of the token after the rebase. And here is the discriminants of this token, and we will define a variable, a constant variable named max uint 255 to get the max number in the uint variable. So to protect the security of the contract, we need to make some check about every variable is less than this amount. is less than this variable. Yeah. Okay. And the third is initial fragment supply. This supply means how many fragments will it be at first? How many tokens that we want to distribute at first? Okay, and this is the constant variable that I just mentioned in the early slides. The total GONS means a constant variable that controls by the total supply multiplied to the GON per fragments. Yeah. Okay, and then we can see the max supply here. Yeah, this is not. I guess this variable is not used much. It's useless. I guess I can just delete it because with this contract, I just simplified from the Ampl force contract. So I delete a lot of part that's hard to understand. If you guys have the ability that you can go to Ampl force website and check the source code by yourself, and if you can make some changes based on the Ampl force contract, that means you have made a huge progress and deep understanding of the rebase token, I guess. Okay, and here I'm going to continue about the introduction of the variable. Okay, here is the total supply. The total supply means the total supply of the Ampl force, the rebase token, the token that we created. And the GONS per fragment is just related to the total supply. Yeah, because it's this variable, multiply this variable equals to the total GONS, right? As I just mentioned. And here we will have some variables, mapping variables named GON balance, and we can get every user's balance by calculations of this variable. I will just show how to do it in the function here, and maybe you guys can understand it. Yeah, and here is another variable named allowed fragments. This variable is kindly similar to the allowed in ERC20 contract. Yeah, this means how many tokens that you allowed the other address to use. Yeah, it's same kind of, it's changed by the approve function. So it's just similar with the ERC20. Okay, so these are the this is the whole of the variable and events and some kind of things. So I'm going to start introduce about the function. The first is the function modifier, the only owner that we use it in our week 3 assignment, I guess. Yeah, so you guys must familiar with it. The second is the constructor, and we just change the owner, and the owner equals to the contract creator. The third is the function initialize. The initialize function can help the contract creator to create and distribute the rebase token at first. Like at first, the owner want to initialize the project, they can just use the initialize function. They can interact with the initialize function, and they will help you to distribute the token. And how to distribute that? You can see the total supply is just equal to the initial fragment supply. Yeah, we just give some value to the total supply, and we give the owner. The owner means who creates the contract, right? We give the owner some balance, which equals to the total GONS. The total GONS means the owner's on all of the token at first. Like if you equal the, like you just assigned this this value to the owner of the GON balance, which means the owner owns all of the value, all of the token among the rebase token system. So after this sentence, the owner gets all token. And the third is we need to calculate the GONs per fragment at first. How to calculate it? As I said, the total GONs equal to total supply multiplied to GONs per fragment. So we just change it between the equal symbol. So at first, as I said, the total supply multiply the GONs fragment equals to total GONs, right? So we just change it. We just use the total GONs to divide the total supply, so we can get the GONs per fragment. Okay, so after this sentence, we just finish the initialize of the rebase token, and we can emit an event named transfer. Like you transfer all of the token to the owner address. Okay, this is the initialize. The second is about rebase, like how you achieve the rebase. How, like if you want to increase the supplement or you want to decrease the supplement, how you achieve that? Okay, the first thing is you need to have some input parameters. The first is the rebase epoch. Like the first time of rebase epoch is 0. The second time of the rebase, the epoch equals 2. And there is another variable named supply delta. Like if you want to increase 100 amount of the token, this should be 100. And if you want to decrease 100 amount of the token, this should be minus 100. Yeah, because this variable is int variable, so it can accept the negative value. So after that, it will come to here. Like if supply delta equals to 0, which means there is no change during this epoch of rebase, then we can just return this function, and it means there is nothing that the function will do. But if there is some changes that we give to the function, like if we want to decrease the total supply, we can give them like minus 100. Then it will make some calculation of the total supply. If it's less than 0, means if you want to decrease the total supply, it will use total supply to minus the supply delta. And this is a secure way to make this calculation. If you hard to understand it, yeah, I will just type it like this. Total supply equal to total supply minus, maybe not minus, you can just like this, supply delta. Yeah, you can just do it like in this way. It will come out in the same result, but it's not safe enough. So they decided to use this way to make the calculation. Yeah, but it's the same. Okay, but if we want to increase the supplement of the rebase token, they can just add the supply delta to the total supply. So they will change the total supply variable. And this judgment is just to prevent some wrong bug or some code bug or some other things in the program. Yeah. Okay. And after that, after you change the total supply, you need to change the GONS fragment too, because, okay, as I just mentioned, the most important things in the rebase system is the relationship of GONS fragments and the total supply and the total GONS, as I just mentioned. Okay. And also, I will upload this file to the GitHub too, so you can check the details on the GitHub. Yeah. This is the whole of the rebase function. So in fact, it does two things. The first is it changed the variable of total supply. The second is it changed the variable of GONS per fragments. Okay, and here is a function that I made it for users who want to check the total supply of the rebase token. Yeah, I guess this is very simple. And here is another function that I want the users to can know how many rebase token that they have in their account. They can just input their address and they can get their function out. They can get their balance. Okay, and here is another function named scaled balance off. You can see the difference between this one and this one is I left a dividend of the GONS per fragments when you want to get the original balance of your account, because after this calculation, your token amount will change. Like if the original amount is 100 and the GONS per fragment just changed, then the account in the rebase token in your account will change too. And this is on behalf of the rebase token amount in your account. And this one represents the percent that you hold in the rebase token project. Like if the GONS per fragment change, it will influence to your balance, but it won't influence the percent that you own of the whole system. Like I said, the amount changed from 100 to 95, and the balance of your amount also changed from 1 to 0.95, right? It changed the amount, but it does not change the percentage. Yeah. So this one can get the amount of your GON balance. If you divide it to the total GON, you can get your percentage of this project. And this one, you can get your total GONs, and you can make the calculation by yourself. Yeah. Okay. And here, I'm going to talk about the same thing that in the ERC20 or BEP20 contract, the transfer function. The difference from ERC20 to here is about the calculation of how to calculate the amount of the rebase token, right? Like if you transfer one token from Tom to Amy or some other address, you need to make a calculation, you need to add the original balance to the address that you want to send to, and minus the amount of the token you need to minus the token amount from the original address, and you need to plus the token amount to the end address, right, to the target address. So here we just do this job, and as you can see, we just use add and sub function to achieve this. Okay, And before that, we need to calculate the gong value, like the value should multiple the gong per fragment. I just talk about if you don't multiply the gongs per fragments, which only behalf of the token amount in your balance in your account. But what you changed, in fact, is the percentage among all of the project. It's not only the account it's not only the amount on your account. You change the percentage of the, like you transfer one token from one address to another address. It's not really you transfer one token from one to the another. You transfer your percentage of this project to another address. Yeah, maybe it's really hard to understand about it. I can know that, but maybe you guys can try to understand it. And if there is any questions, you guys can discuss in the Discord channel, and I will answer about that. Yeah. Okay, and the same thing is here, like the transfer from, in fact, is the same mechanism as the ERC20 and BEP20 contract. And the difference is only they change the percentage, that not only the amount. So that's the only difference, I guess. Yeah. And there is also a proof here. The proof function here is achieve the same thing. Yeah, just in a different way. So I guess maybe we should, I can make some attempts on the contract, and maybe you guys can more understand how it works. Okay, and at first I just compile this one. Okay, wait a minute. 70. I made some changes here, I guess. If total supply. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I have another project here. The total supply equals to, oh, I see. I can just, because I just deleted the max supply variable, so he can't recognize it here. Okay, now we finished the compile of this contract, and then we can deploy it to the BSC network. Okay, and now we just deployed our contract to the BSC network. And before it starts, there is no token on the BSC network. How can we check that? We have a function named balance of right here. We can interact with this function to confirm how much of the balance in our wallets. So I can just copy the wallet's address here and paste here. So you submit it, and okay. Oh, I know how it happens, because this balance is not yet in the balance variable right here. We haven't made the initialize of the contract, so we can't get back the balance of this address. So the first thing that we should do is we need to initialize the contract. We need to make a distribution of the rebase token. The first thing is we make the initialize of the contract. Okay, so it's a success, and now we can see how many rebase token that we have on our address. We can get it, and now we can see the number is it's a very huge number. Yeah. Okay. And then we want to transfer our money to another address. Like if or we can just do another things. Like if we want to rebase the token first. Okay. We want to the first balance is 50000, and if we make a rebase of this system, like we want it decrease. Okay, we want decrease the supply. What will happen to the balance? Let's see it. Okay, this is occurred by the chain ID, but the transaction is confirmed, so don't worry about it. Okay, we can check the balance again. Okay, so as you can see, the balance in our account just changed, and the total supply, yeah, the total supply also changed too. So this change is to the whole system, not only to your account, it's to the whole system user. Okay, and now I can just transfer some money to another account. Like if I want to transfer money to this account, okay, I want to transfer money to this account. I can interact with the transfer function and paste the address and okay, and submit the amount that I want to transfer. Then I can transfer the rebase token to the other account, right? Okay, we can see here, okay, the transfer transaction success, and we can check the balance of that address. Okay, there is yeah, so many tokens in this address. So after that, we can make a rebase again. See what will happen. Like if the price goes high and the supply of the rebase token should increase, so we can make an increase rebase and see what will happen. Oh, sorry. Okay, and don't worry about that. That we can just see about the balance of this. Yeah, but the original, there is all of the zero in right here. But after the rebase, this address just have more 20,000 rebase token right after the rebase, and also the total supply is increased too. The total supply is increased too. Yeah. So after those changes, we can see that how to interact with a rebase system and how to distribute the rebase token and how to achieve the rebase mechanism. Yeah. I hope this can help you guys to learn more about the algorithm stablecoin or some other synthetic assets. Yeah, and maybe now I'm going to answer the question. Yeah, okay. Okay, let me check the answer at first. It is an established fact that interest make the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Among biases is this appearance that interest is an intricate part of DeFi system. This lecture also portrays this is possible to have a non-interest DeFi system where the issues of finance system can easily be tackled. About this, I have to say that because the interest is because somebody want to use money and they are willing to pay for the money they want to borrow, right? So this is not a mechanism that works for the richer. This is the basic, the mechanism for how money can transfer from one to another and how the money among the world can circulate. So I guess this is not a very important problem of DeFi, yeah. Okay, please could explain more about what GON per fragments represent. I have to say that GONs per fragment is a parameter. The parameter that can represent the rebase mechanism's status. Like if the total supply of the rebase token is big, then the GONs per fragments should be little. Yeah. And if the total supply of the rebase token is huge, then the is small, then the GONs per fragments will be big. It's just a very simple parameter, I guess. You can just look it as parameters in a system that controls how system works. What is the process of deploying real-world project Solidity, and how can you know that your project is accepted on blockchain? After you compile the contract on Chain IDE, and there is a deployment, there is a deployed button here, and you can just, okay, you can just use compile the contract here, and you can select the contract you want to deploy, and just put it here, and click the button of deploy, and confirm the transaction. After the output tells you that the transaction was success, and you can check some hash or some contract address here, and you can just find out that the contracts just success deployed. Yeah. Please, how to call a function or a contract that has been already deployed. Yeah, this is how to call the function that already deployed. After you deploy the function, after deploying the Solidity contract, the smart contract, it will show here about the interactions. So you can interact with the contract here. And if you don't have the source code of the contract, you can also use this. If you want to import some existing contract on the BSC or Ethereum, you can get the chain ID and the contract name and the contract API, which you can get from the BSC scan or Ethereum scan, and the contract address. After that, the contract will appear here and you can interact with it. Why do we increase total supply? Yeah, the increase of the total supply related to the Hayek currency theory, because Hayek think the people needs more money if the money's price goes up. Like if the money price goes up, it means that we should create more money to maintain the money's price, and that means the development of the society. Yeah, and if the money's price decrease, that means the society did not that much of money, so the money supply will decrease. How does a token gain a USD price? The USD price provided by the Oracle. The Oracle is another infrastructure on the blockchain, which can be provided by the Link protocol or the Nest protocol. That's another project on the blockchain. Yeah, it can provide you the real world USD price. The GONS per fragments value determined the change of the GONS per fragment will depends the money of total supply. So as you can see, that's the only thing that in this system is you want to change the total supply rather than just change it on by change every users. Like if you want to change, if you have 10 coins here and you delivered it to 10 person, if you want to change the total supply, you need to get the money from the person back and give them some new amount of the money. That's a very complicated process. So we want to calculate by the GONS per fragment because only use these parameters, we can control the total supply and we can easily change the total supply. Yeah. Does the reduction in total supply affect the quantity of token held by users? Yes, of course. That's why a lot of people just think the rebase system is useless because it will, if the price always goes down, it will trigger the death spiral and the quantity of token held by the users will decrease too. They think there should be a way to avoid the death spiral, like they can provide a whitelist. Who stake their money in the whitelist can prevent them money from the decrease. Yeah, something like that. So there are a lot of solutions. Maybe you guys can see some project and can find some inspiration among it. How do we determine the stake rate? The stake rate, I guess you mentioned, is about Compound, right? The stake rate was determined by the community, and the stake rate is related to the security of the system. So it must be a very appropriate value to the liquidation or to other events in the system. So if the stake rate is too high, the money utilization rate will be low and it can't attract people. But if the stake rate is too low, it will affect the security of the whole system. So it should be appropriate value. How often does the rebase happens in a local stablecoin? Yeah. Different projects have a different time they want to rebase. Like some of them will rebase every day, every 24 hours, and some of them will rebase like 1 hour or 12 hours, yeah, like that. Is Ampl rebase code does the adjustments in total supply done manually? In fact, as my observation, I think the Ampl rebase is triggered by a specific person, yeah. But another project rebase was triggered by the community members or other people because there needs to be someone to trigger the rebase process, yeah. And that's another problem here. Because you need someone to trigger the rebase process. If the rebase process will lead to the decrease of their money, they don't like to trigger that. So you need to provide some reward for them to trigger the rebase. Yeah, that's another problem here. To get the current price to automatically do rebase. What you talk about, the stablecoin price and the rebase is two things. Get the USD price is to calculate the TWAP price. The TWAP price can make a calculation of how will the total supply change. Like if the TWAP price is higher than the packet price, it will increase the supply, and if it's lower than that, it will decrease, right? So the calculation or the price gainer is the oracle. It's about the oracle because the oracle will provide the USD price. And the rebase process can't be automatically triggered by the oracle because it needs someone else to trigger the rebase. Yeah. How to call a function that has already been deployed in other smart contracts. For example, Yearn Finance called the harvest function on Curve Finance. Yeah, like we just did it in the farm, I guess farm here. In the token farm contract, we defined a constructor and we import the contract that we just predefined and pre-deployed, right? So with this contract, I know about its API, about its contract address, and we can just make it as an input parameters in the constructor. And after the deployment of this contract, the contract can just use the function in those contracts. So that's, I guess, is just what you want to know. What is the justification for borrowing less than the collector supplied? What's justification for borrowing less than the? There is not a specific justification, I guess. There is just a rate like stake rate was defined by the community, and if the stake rate after calculation of the stake rate and the asset and the borrowing asset, they will make the decision like is the borrowing asset is safe or is not need to trigger liquidation. Yeah. After I have deployed project, okay, this may be the last question. And after answer the question, I will mention some details about the final demo show. And maybe some of you guys still feel confused about it. Yeah. After I deployed a contract on BSC, for example, a project like Unicorn Swamp, after deploying the smart contract, is there any other work to be done by owner? How do owners of this project get paid? Okay. If you deployed a contract to some network, and that means and after the initialize, like how the token distribute or some other things, which means the contract can be worked on the network, and if you want to get paid, you should set in previous. In the contract that you need to set a function to collect or transfer the token or transfer the fees that you collect from the transaction. So you can use the function to transfer the money in the contract to your account by interacting with that function. Yeah. So this should be defined previously. Which other projects can be built on? Like, yeah, I will give you the rebase token selection on the GitHub. Yeah. So this question answer is yes, but next week I will talk something about the front end, about HTML and JavaScript. So I will give you some example, the simple example with the HTML and JavaScript, and maybe I will give you a very simple front-end structure with the rebase project too. Yeah. Okay. So today's class is end here. And in case some of you just confused with the final demo show, I repeat it here again. The first thing of the final demo show is you have to submit the assignment before yesterday, and we have finished admitted about the assignment. So now, I guess there are 400 people will be grouped. Will be grouped, and we have been selected the group leader. So before the next Wednesday, I guess most of you guys will receive the email from your group leader. They will lead you guys to select the direction of the final demo show, and they will group you to how to start the project. And in case some of you just don't receive the email from the captain, we will open a Google form for you guys. And if you are in the 400 people and don't get the email from the captain, then you can fill the Google form, and we will solve the problem. Yeah. So that's all. And if you don't receive the email now, don't be hurried. Just wait for more days. And if until next Wednesday you still not, you can fill the Google form. Okay, that's all. Thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Yeah. Yeah. It is possible. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye, guys. Yeah.